Thank you for taking time to visit with me, and obviously women's basketball in Texas at the University of Texas is important. So we've learned that really quickly, since being part of the team for the last month. We've had several interviews, not just the head coach, but like you guys want to talk to us too as assistants. Even our support staff's been interviewed. I think Blair had a radio interview this morning. So that means a lot. And I think that went into probably one of the main reasons why Coach Schaefer wanted to be part of the university is the support's tremendous. The brand itself is going to sell across the country a lot better than, where we were. And we thought we had a really good team here, but we believe that we can create an amazing program, have a great culture, and bring in some of the best in the country to come represent the university and compete for championships year in and year out.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Questions? All right, let's go to Dennis first.
I think I have the hang of this by now. The whole June 1st voluntary workout thing, how eager are you to actually work with your new squad?
Man, I think as soon as that hit Twitter, Celeste and Charlie both text me and they're like, this is exciting news. Does this mean we could come back to Austin? And I said, this is part one. It's one step closer to getting you guys on the floor with us. But we still probably have some presidential and athletic director decisions to get through. So I believe it's going to be more of an administrative thing to allow us back on campus and to have access to them. But like I told Charlie and Celeste, it is exciting because it's one step closer to being a group in Austin together on the floor, getting better.
Thanks.
All right, we'll go to Jeff now.
Hey, Coach, Jeff Jones from the ABC affiliate here. Nice to meet you.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I hope you are too. Just judging from the outside looking in at your coaching staff and having met Coach Schaefer and Coach Harris via Zoom, like we're meeting you now, the camaraderie seems out of this world. What allows the relationships on that coaching staff to mesh so well, and how important is that to the product you put on the court?
I attribute that to kind of our character, who we are as people. Our morals and values are in alignment. We're here for the kids to help develop them into young women and successful young women, when the ball stops bouncing. So I think it's just a tribute to what our character is and who we are as people. Number one, we're also very competitive and we want to win. And I think, Coach Schaefer has the blueprint. I've heard Coach Harris say that recently. And it's true, he has a blueprint, and I think he understands he has to surround himself with the right people. And we all 100% believe that this is a staff that can get it done. And I think because we do have that belief in one another, and Coach Schaefer allows us to work, it's just a true blessing to be part of the staff. And the continuity is important for the girls. So I think the relationships and the continuity trickle down into the locker room, and then our team has a lot of success because we become very close-knit, like a family. So I consider them a second family, and I believe they feel the same way about me.
Other questions? Go to Bob.
Hey, Coach. Bob Ballou, CBS
Hey, Bob.
Austin. How you doing? Nice to meet you.
Hey, how are you?
When you left to go be a head coach, what did you learn in that time? Because you were successful, and even more so, is that something long-term that you want to do? Do you want to go back to being a head coach one day?
Well, prior to coming to Mississippi State, I was a head coach at the junior college level. So that's not necessarily the NCAA, but you do have to manage a lot of personalities. You have to manage your coaching staff. For me, I was in a great place here with Coach Schaefer and his staff. I just had some family issues come up. My mom and dad were a little sick. So I had to go on that journey to have a little bit more balance and to get closer to home at the time. But in that experience, I relied on Coach Schaefer heavily. I would stay on the phone with him and pick his brain about different things. But I learned that it's bigger than just basketball, for sure. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it when your name's on the door and you're standing up instead of sitting down. You're managing your team, but you're also managing assistant coaches. My staff was bigger at Arkansas Fort Smith than it was at Trinity Valley. So you have more resources. Your budget is a little bit different at the Division II level. So you had to work with head count and scholarship monies. So there was fundraising you had to do. I didn't have to do much of that at Trinity Valley because I was blessed to have a really good program that people wanted to provide money for, but had to go out and fundraise. So there was just so much more that you take on when you're a head coach, and rather than just X's and O's like some people might think, there's a management side to it. And believe it or not, there's little fires everywhere. You know, they come up, you got to help put those out so that the whole house doesn't start burning down. So it's a handful. It's a lot to take on. And would I like to be a head coach down the road? Certainly. But I think it has to be the right situation, the right program. It's probably going to have to be close to home, you know, because I still have my father, and I would love to stay within a day's drive of him. And I have 2 brothers in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I have a lot of nieces, 6 of them, that I love dearly. So right now I'm in a good place. And like I said, it'd have to be the right situation for me to leave.
All right, Danny?
Hey, Elena. As a recruiting coordinator, how would you describe your approach to recruiting, Vic's approach to recruiting, and how has it been going to a new program, get things started, but also being stuck in, you know, a very odd time for your first, you know, month and a half on the job?
Recruiting is definitely relationship based for us on our end, because Coach Schaefer likes to recruit to a fit, and not only a basketball fit, but also a culture fit. You know, they have to have a great foundation and have been raised a certain way for us to take extreme interest in them, because Coach Schaefer always makes a promise to our players and their parents that he's not going to surround them with a bunch of characters, you know, with some issues. So he wants to make sure that he assures families that we're going to bring in good people. So it's getting to know a lot of parents, coaches around them. It's not just about recruiting the kid, but you want to recruit their circle, because they could tell you a lot about the kid from different perspectives. And then it's also just making sure that Coach Schaefer checks off on them. You know, he's really particular with who we recruit. So sometimes we may have a list of like 6 or 7 kids, but when it gets down to it and he gets out and starts talking to these kids on the phone, he might target 1 or 2. So once he gives us the go, that's when we get really aggressive and we start, like, all of us talking to them, because we're big on family. So we want to make sure that the family knows every staff member. We want to make sure that we're recruiting, like I said, not just the kid, but their circle. And then we want to make sure it's a good fit. So, but I think it's touching the kids somehow, some way every day, whether a phone call, a picture edit, text message, social media, like, you know, you just want to have some sort of interaction so that you know they're thinking about you too. You could tell a lot from kids on, you know, if they're answering their phone these days, if they want to talk to you, if they're talking to you on FaceTime, or if it's just over the phone. So it kind of just, this levels, and I think that we take it one step at a time, but we are very particular with who we recruit. We don't necessarily cast our net out wide, especially early. You know, we try to identify a short list, and then we take it to him. We let him do some evaluation and digging on his end. And then when he tells us, yes, I want to offer her, that's when we get excited, because we know everyone's all in. So it's a little, I think there's a little bit of a process, but it works for us.
Hi, Elena. I'm Maya Taylor from the Daily Texan, UT student newspaper. I was just wondering, whenever Coach Schaefer took the job at Texas, did you already make up in your mind that you would join him in Austin if given the opportunity?
It's funny, because I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, being the greatest auntie of all time, because when COVID hit, you know, my Coach Schaefer let us go home. So my nieces were loving it, and I was minding my own business, playing with my nieces, and Coach Schaefer called and mentioned that, you know, Texas had inquired about him, and he wanted to make sure, you know, he was like, you would pack up and go to Texas, wouldn't you? And I said, Coach, are you going to Texas? Because if you're going to Texas, I'm going to Texas. So it was kind of a package deal. You know, whenever he said he was going to leave, I told him I had come to Mississippi State for him. I truly do enjoy working for him. So I was going to be on board if he wanted to have me. So that was definitely something that he called and asked me before he took the job. And I think in taking the job, he knew I would be part of his staff.
We'll go to Bob and then to Jeff.
Coach, y'all are very, very confident about this roster, about what you're walking into at Texas. Why are you so confident? Is it because of your success as a coaching staff, or is it what you see in the roster? Is it a combination? And then maybe what are some of the challenges that you think y'all will face coming into a first year like this?
So I believe we're confident, number one, because we have Coach Schaefer, and he has the blueprint. I think our staff, the continuity, the fact that we all made the move with him, you know, we're going to be able to instill the championship behaviors and habits into these girls. I think we're also confident because in talking to the current roster and building the relationship, like you could just tell that they're hungry. Charlie and Celeste are ready. Like they want to be on campus today. They want to start working towards that championship now. So I think the fact that, you know, we're confident in ourselves as a staff, and we're hearing that these girls are ready to buy in and they're ready to go to work. And for Coach Schaefer, that's more than half the battle, because we never apologize for being very demanding. And I think that this group is going to embrace that. So we're confident that they're ready for us. I think we're confident in our approach to building our program and some of the pieces that we already have in place. And then obviously just being part of the brand. We know that we're going to be able to recruit at a very high level at the University of Texas. And that gives us a little bit more confidence, like moving forward, that we can do this on a national scale year in and year out. But I guess, complicated parts are going to be what's going on with COVID. When can we be on campus? When can we start working with them? They need to be strength and conditioning right now, like hardcore, because we are tough and demanding. So they're going to have a solid base when we start in August. So we're just hopeful that we can have at least one summer session with them in July, because I think that's necessary to play our style of basketball. You know, we pressure the ball 40 minutes, 94 feet, and it can exhaust you. And if you're not prepared for that, we would run ourselves through the wall by the end of the year. So I think, you know, that's probably the toughest piece right now, is just not knowing when we're going to get our hands on them so that we can start molding the clay, because it is going to be a different system. There are going to be different philosophies and schemes that they're going to have to learn. So we're just, you know, we're taking it one day at a time right now, but we're very confident because I think this group's ready. We got some kids that are working out really hard right now on their own. So I can't wait to see what they'll do with us, you know, managing the workouts.
All right, Jeff?
Coach, a moment ago you said you went to Mississippi State for Coach Schaefer, so it was obvious that you were going to go to Texas with him.
Mm-hmm.
What makes him worth it? Is it just the blueprint, or what separates him from any other coach, any other job you could take?
Well, when I was coaching at Trinity Valley, I had a few offers to join staffs around the country. And at the time, you know, there were some really good coaches and they were great people as well. So it got to the point when Coach Schaefer offered me, I was like, I can't keep turning down good people, because eventually you turn all the good ones down and now you're stuck with people who might not have the same morals and values that you have as a coach. So when I jumped on board with him, you know, he's been a great mentor. I've learned a lot from him, and he gets the best out of anybody who he surrounds himself with, whether it's a staff member or a player. He just knows how to get the best out of you. So I just enjoy being around someone who pushes me, challenges me to grow day in and day out. And it's just a staff collectively, Johnny, Deanna, even our girls that have played for us. And now that we get to watch them grow on staff, you know, it's a win-win for everybody. So I want to be around winners, and I'm learning every day from the best. So I don't plan on leaving him unless, like I said, there's a great opportunity one day that comes my way. But it's him. He's a winner, and he gets the best out of people.
Dennis?
And I apologize, Coach, I didn't introduce myself. Dennis Delapena at the Fox affiliate. So you talk about recruiting to a fit.
Mm-hmm.
Is that talking about that defense, that 40 minutes of hell or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
That part of the checklist, can you tell that I need this type of player that we know can get into that? And what do your practices look like when we're talking about that? Because that starts there.
Yeah, it's tough and we're demanding. So we have to recruit to a fit, because Coach Schaefer's not necessarily interested in the ranking that's next to the kid's name. You know, we want to know what's in between the breastplate. Like, what is their heart rated? You know, you have to have a lot of heart to play the way we play, because you're going to get tired. and your body's going to talk to you and it's going to tell you you need to stop, or I'm tired, let's take a break. But your mind needs to be able to push through that. So for us, like, we need mental toughness. We need the blue collar kid that's willing to stand in front of a freight train and take a charge. So it's just, you got to be different. You got to be willing to be pushed. Some kids are ranked really high, but they feel like they've already reached the highest level and they've peaked, and they don't keep getting better or think that they can. And some of those kids don't allow you to push them to get better. So we want kids who want to be pushed, who want to be great, who have that mindset, like they want to win championships, they want to be Olympians. So it takes a special kid to want to play for us, because we, like I said, are going to be demanding. A practice for us could last anywhere from 3 hours to 3.5. And it's, I mean, the pace is crazy. I don't know how our kids get through them sometimes, but that's why you have to be the total package. You have to be willing to be coached on your nutrition, on sleeping, you know, because you're going to have to treat your body like a pro. Because when you walk in, and once the strength coach gets done with you stretching, we're going into like 30 or 45 minutes of very fast fundamental work, but it's all based on transition. I mean, you're getting offensive transition, you're getting back talking on defense, and it's nonstop. You know, we push our girls with the shot clock as a timer. If they don't, we teach with consequences. If you don't make your time, you're doing push-ups, or you're running up the stairs, or you're running a sideline. So for someone who hasn't ever been to a Schaefer practice, you might walk in and see a bunch of stuff going on and think it's chaos, but there's a method behind the madness, and it's not easy. So that's why we do have to recruit to a fit, because these kids are going to be challenged, and it's not just a freshman, sophomore thing. Like, this is year 1 through senior. And that's why I think our kids develop over time. If you look at some of the numbers for these kids that have played for Coach Schaefer, it's amazing, because every kid on our bench develops. It's not just the starting 5 or the top 7 or 8. Like, every kid that's ever played for Coach Schaefer has gotten better, and their numbers have shown that. So
we'll go back to Maya.
yes.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Coach. So after spending several years in Starkville, is there anything that you think you'll miss the most?
I feel like we have created a fan base here who is so endearing, and they love us to death. I mean, this is not just a Thursday, Sunday relationship. Like, we're in Walmart or we're in Kroger, we're putting gas at a gas station, and these people come up and want to give us hugs and talk to us about, like, they really believe they know us personally. So we're really going to miss our fan base. It was just, these are tremendous people. It's a great town. And I think more than anything, we're going to miss the people.
We'll go back to Danny.
You've mentioned her a couple of times. I'm sure there's somewhat of a relationship you formed, but what are your thoughts about what you've seen on film about Celeste and what you can do with her over these next 3 years?
I love what I'm hearing on the phone. I mean, she is so excited to get on campus with us and to be part of, you know, this program. She wants to get better. She is willing to work. I know that we've heard nothing but great things from other coaches who have coached her. Obviously, her resume speaks for itself. She's a 3-time gold medalist. She was 3-time freshman of the week for the Big 12. She was player of the week in March 2nd, I believe. So, I mean, you're talking about a freshman who came in and developed over her freshman year and was able to be awarded the player of the week in a great conference. Her numbers were great. I think she's a guard that's going to score at all 3 levels. I think she's going to provide some rebounding out of her position. So, I mean, we're just excited about her. We think she's a kid you could build a great program around, along with Charlie. And I think, you know, she's just, sky's the limit for her. And I can't wait to watch her get drafted one day.
We've got time for a couple more. Anybody have additional questions? We'll go back to Danny.
I was curious about your job title. What is the difference between recruiting coordinator and just the regular job? Because obviously all of y'all are recruiting, all of y'all are hitting the road and building those relationships.
Yes. They put me in charge basically of managing our list. You know, who are we tops on, who's talking to who and when, who's going out, where they're going, who they need to see. So they rely on me a lot to just kind of organize everybody's recruiting, whether it's organizing a phone call for them or organizing, you know, a trip for them to go out and see a kid play at their high school. So more than anything, it's just coach, I think, relies on me to help him manage this roster and figure out how can we win a championship, and then the science behind it, and just making sure that everybody's on top of it. So it makes it a lot easier for me because we do have such a great staff, and they're amazing on the phone. Coach Schaefer he's great in home. Like, he hits it out the park every time. I wish I could just take him into every recruit's home now, but obviously with this recruiting period being kind of pushed over, I think we're in a dead period till June 30th now. I don't know when we're gonna have kids on campus or when I could put them in someone's home, but I know he's excited, and they're great, so they're easy to manage. Kind of have an easy job.
And how would you describe yourself as a coach?
I feel like my role with this staff is to definitely be super encouraging and positive. I think I need to be tough when I need to be tough, but for the most part, like, you have a person like Coach Schaefer and Coach Jackson who are extremely demanding. Like, sometimes I got to be the one who's coming behind and playing good cop, and then it's vice versa. If I think they're being too nice and somebody needs to pick it up, like, so I change. I'm kind of like a chameleon. Sometimes I got to go get in somebody's butt. But it's just, we all work together. I try to bring balance. I, as a head coach, have experienced like what it's like to have people on their highs and their lows. And I know that as a head coach, you need someone who can identify what's going on and then help keep the balance. So that's what I've tried to do for Coach Schaefer, is just figure out what's going on that day and then try to make sure it's on balance. So for me, I think my coaching style is very positive for the most part, but if I have to, I know I gotta go get in someone's tail, I will, for sure.
Time for one more question if anybody's got one. Jeff, go ahead.
Coach, you've been a part, obviously, of some very, very successful teams, national championships at the junior college level, Final Fours and SEC play and everything. What are a few common characteristics on those great teams that you've been a part of?
The buy-in was always huge. I mean, it was just special chemistry with your team, and they all bought into the vision. The community support was also very important. I think at Trinity Valley, I had a huge fan base, kind of like we have here at Mississippi State. So I think having the community support is huge because it just gives the girls another purpose. They're playing for more than just themselves. They got a whole community who has their back, and they want to perform at a high level for them. And then I think just the accountability piece. You know, when people are bought in, they're going to be accountable. They're going to do what they need to do. So that's kind of part of that. And then the administrative support. Like, I've always had great administrative support wherever we've won. And I feel like we're going to have the same at the University of Texas. So I believe that that's another key component as to why Coach Schaefer took this job. I think he believes that CDC is going to support and provide what we need so that we can be successful. So I'd say buy-in, fan base, and community support, and then obviously administrative support.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us this afternoon. And Coach, thank you for taking the time to visit with the local Austin media folks.
Again, we appreciate you guys. This is big time. You know, I think the support for Texas women's basketball is amazing, and it's going to help us recruit because you guys are, you know, putting us out there. So we appreciate you just as much as you appreciate us, I'm sure.